Heard of
Sausage?
the UFC fighter.
The sausage?
Sausage.
Welcome back to the Siri Yanks channel. And all weekend long, I had planned on doing a Copa America prediction show. But, let's just say CONCACAF performances over the friendlies have changed my mind on that. Instead, we're going to throw a bit of a curveball at this. A bit of a Ben Tozer throw-in, if you will. We're instead going to be talking about the CONCACAF teams that are in Copa and what their chances are actually, not even in the tournament, but what their chances are actually getting out of the group stage at this point. Because we had embarrassing loss after embarrassing loss after embarrassing loss. So that got me thinking, like, what actually are the odds of these CONCACAF teams competing in the group stage and actually going on? Well, that's what we're going to dive into today. And you know what? Let's go ahead and get straight into it. So starting off the video representing CONCACAF in Group A, we have one team, which is Canada. And let's just be clear, in Group A, Argentina's winning this. Let's move on to see what their odds of getting the second spot are. Canada's got a lot of hope with new coach Jesse Marsch. And unlike a lot of Americans on YouTube, I actually think he's a good enough coach to win here. But he does have a well-defined system. The good news is he has players that can fit that system at his disposal. The bad news is, in our short sample size of Jesse Marsch so far, it doesn't look like they're ready to sustain that system for a full 90. I've also got questions about the goalkeeper situation in Canada. Max Crepeau, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, I know he was injured or got injured at LAFC, and I know he had to miss some time. Now, I will fully admit I'm not an MLS guy, so I have not seen any of the Timbers games this year, but I know he's coming off an injury. And then we have, I believe, Dane St. Clair, who I believe is kind of raw at this point. But they're competing at that number 2 spot against Chile and Peru. Both are very experienced teams, and to me, they're going to have to wait out the constant running of Canada and use their experience to beat them on their mistakes. But it's possible Canada can sneak a win through one of these teams. But I do think that the experience level and the just mindset of Peru and Chile are going to catapult them over Canada. My final word on Canada is it's possible they could sneak out a win against one of those two teams, but I believe it's highly unlikely they make it past the group stage. So now let's talk about Group B, which has 2 representatives from CONCACAF in it, the first being Mexico. And to me, you can make an argument that Mexico is the 4th most talented player pool in CONCACAF. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't argue with you much. They're definitely a team in transition, and at least they're doing something to phase out the older players, unlike a certain country that I live in 2017. But that's a story for another day. Between Venezuela and Ecuador, I do have enough faith in Mexico to at least get one win out of these 2 games. And due to that, the cannibalism of Ecuador and Venezuela, I believe, would possibly phase out one of those teams from contention, which would mean CONCACAF rivals, Jamaica and Mexico, could be the game that sends Mexico on, unless Jamaica can get their shit together, which is worse than Mexico's shit. And I think Mexico is it's a your spot to lose it kind of situation. So my final word on Mexico is, I do think it's very likely that they're going to get out of the group stage. And of course, the second representative of Group B, as I've already mentioned, Jamaica. I already kind of gave this one away, but on paper, I think Jamaica could easily be the second most impressive A-team player pool in CONCACAF. But getting these guys all together is the hard part. And when you can get them together, it's getting the players, the coach, and the federation to all get along. And, well, good luck with that, because it hasn't worked out yet. I think it's possible Jamaica will come up just short in every game, But I think if all their players are in form and actually motivated, I think there's a fighting chance that they can do the whole win, draw, loss, squeeze-in scenario. My final word on Jamaica is, so you're saying there's a chance. And don't freak out. Those eagle noises that you're hearing in the background and the Fahrenheit that you're reading on your phone, that only means one thing. We're on Group C, which of course is the group of the United States of America. They're joined by CONCACAF friend, foe, depending on the day, Panama. And you know what? Look, I may as well just do these two programs together because Uruguay is going to win every game in this group and Bolivia is going to lose every game in this group. So it's honestly going to come down to who wins this game between the USA and Panama. The past 3 games these two teams have played, Panama has surprisingly won 2 of them. Granted, one of them was against a very weak USA B/C team. Point is, Panama has been a thorn in the side of the US as of late. And that USA victory that they had against Panama was when emotions were high. It was a World Cup game, or a World Cup qualifying game that would have almost got the USA to the World Cup, and it basically all but confirmed that they were going to go to Qatar. And the mentality of that particular team on that particular night, I don't think they cared who they were playing. They were going to rout anybody in their way. It was that kind of energy level, which, to be honest with you, we haven't really seen since. That said, the talent gap is real, and with all due respect to Panama, the USA players, even with a terrible coach and in terrible form, and it seems like to be in a terrible mindset, the talent, I believe, is just too much for Panama to deal with. And for that reason, I think the USA's chances of leaving this group are pretty likely, but that's only by default. Now, Panama, on the other hand, stranger things have happened, but I just don't see or like their chances of getting out of this group. And the final team that we are going to talk about today, representing CONCACAF in Group B, is Costa Rica. And this officially starts life without one of the best players to ever see the pitch in CONCACAF, which is, of course, Keylor Navas. And unfortunately, they're playing in a group with Brazil and Colombia, and also a sneaky Paraguayan team. It's possible Costa Rica doesn't even get a point out of this group, and I don't have much to say about this other than my final word is Costa Rica. If you can hear that Vince McMahon song playing in the background, there's no chance in hell. So my final thoughts before we close out this video is, it genuinely is not a crazy thought to think we could only see one CONCACAF team get out to the knockouts. And I think 2 is only possible, or a real possibility, because Bolivia was put into a group where there's 2 CONCACAF squads. So whether it be 1 team or 2 teams that make it out, I think the odds of either of them that do make it out reaching it past the first round of the knockouts are extremely low. About as low as me waking up to this video getting 1,000 views. So that said, thank you so much for watching this video. Please, please, please drop a like. Let me know what team you think is in the worst shape to make it out. Let me know what team you think is in the best shape to make it out. And how'd you think of, or did you agree with my rankings? Did you not agree? Let me know too. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Be safe, and thanks for watching.